Welcome back to the 2 Minute Morning, episode 199. Today we're doing a recap of last night's Chargers and Raiders game. Believe it or not, it was the first divisional game the Chargers have won in about 2 years, since 2018, which is kind of unbelievable to me how they've gone that long without winning a divisional game. But Chargers come out on top, 30-27, with a game-winning drive led by Justin Herbert in overtime. Jay, what did you see from this game from both sides of the field that you liked?
Pretty much everything we've been seeing from Justin Herbert. He's going to win Rookie of the Year. The dude's on pace to be an NFL MVP. He's going to be a Super Bowl winner. And I've been saying in the past few videos that Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen is going to have a Tom Brady, Peyton Manning type of rivalry throughout their careers. But really, I think it's going to turn into Patrick Mahomes versus Justin Herbert because they're going to play twice a year. It's just going to be an epic rivalry for the next decade for sure. Justin Herbert had an amazing game last night. 300 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown
to win the game.
Considering those facts or stats, he didn't even have his 2 best receivers really in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. They were both somewhat limited and not to their full potential. So for him to get it done very successfully, it wasn't even an ugly game. It was a great game by Justin Herbert without his 2 biggest receivers. It was great to see. Hunter Henry had an early touchdown. He's going to be a free agent this upcoming year, but I expect the Chargers to sign him or hopefully re-sign him because they need him for big games like this against your division teams. And him and Austin Eckler having a great chemistry together. Raiders, on the other hand, they're just falling apart ever since that Chiefs game. We all thought that tough loss was going to be something to still have a positive to and a great outlook on. Just having a close game to the Chiefs and being the most competitive with the Chiefs this year, except for Miami last week. Yet ever since that game, they've fallen apart, getting beat by the Atlanta Falcons 43-6, barely beating the Jets. That was just a bad call on the Jets. That was probably rigged, and then now losing to the Chargers. Raiders aren't looking good. They're now 500 at 7-7.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said about Herbert. Looked great last night. He was at one point through the first half, he was like 16 for 21. He was throwing the ball really well, making good decisions. Like he said, missing 2 key guys, including Keenan Allen. He was limited last night for whatever injury. I'm not entirely sure. But like he said, Herbert looked great. On the other side of the field with the Raiders, Derek Carr with the early injury, not really sure what happened. I think it was a groin injury, but he was quickly off the field and he was in his sideline, whatever, sweatshirt, so he wasn't coming back in the game. I was impressed with Marcus Mariota. He looked really, really good. He was running the ball well, throwing the ball well. He had a really impressive passing touchdown to Darren Waller, who had, 150 yards in the touchdown.
150 yards,
Darren Waller took off last night, including a touchdown from Mariota, which was like 35 yards. It was a great throw. So Mariota looked good. I thought he was going to lead the Raiders to a win. This is obviously a big game for the Raiders because going 8-6 would be a huge difference from 7-7 because that AFC playoff race is so competitive. But Mariota did throw 1 key interception that was not necessarily a terrible throw, but it was behind the receiver, whatever, got tipped and went back for 50-something yards. And evidently, I would say, cost the Raiders the game because they were driving down the field. But the Raiders were really given every chance to win this football game. 2 missed kicks by Michael Badgley for the Chargers that the Raiders did nothing with. I mean, typically you give a team, it was a 41-yarder and or was it like a 45 and a 51? 2 makeable field goals. You give away 6 points, you should lose the football game, and the Raiders weren't able to take it.
And off that point, that's what's cost the Chargers their entire season. Bad kicks, missing stupid points like field goals, and that's what every team is executed on, and that's why the Chargers are doing bad, and the Raiders is one team that wasn't able to execute on that.
Which they should have been able to. So then goes to overtime at 24 all. The Raiders get the ball first, so I'm like, finally, this is going to be over. Obviously, the team that gets wins the coin flip and takes the ball in overtime has the huge advantage. Well, they drive all the way down to get first and goal, I believe, inside the 5, and they weren't able to punch it in. Joey Bosa, who had been quiet all game, got in the backfield, tripped up Josh Jacobs like 2 times in those 3 plays, made him kick the field goal from inside the 5. They go up 27-24, and Justin Herbert takes it into his own hands and eventually runs it in for like the 1-yard QB sneak on 3rd and goal. Chargers win. Justin Herbert looked good running the ball last night. I mean, I doubt he had any more than 50 yards on the ground, but I saw a couple QB sneaks, and they were all 9-10 yards. He probably had 30-40 yards on the ground. Justin Herbert looked great, and the Raiders didn't, to be honest.
Yeah, like you said, Justin Herbert is not the most mobile guy, but he's definitely
6'6", so I wouldn't want to tackle him.
He's athletic. He can run the ball when he absolutely has to. I gotta say, going into this game, this is not what I expected. I thought the Raiders just had a lot more to play for. They're trying to get in the playoffs. The Chargers are just at this point wanting a higher draft pick, and I really thought the Raiders would out-coach him having John Gruden versus the Chargers. No one likes the head coach, Anthony Lynn. So I was definitely surprised by this game, but I'm not surprised by Justin Herbert's performance. We know how good he is. He's doing things rookies don't do, and I expect him to do this for the rest of his career. Really, I don't want to say he's hit his ceiling, but you can't get much higher from here, which isn't a bad thing. He's already reaching his potentials, what you want to see in a young guy. I like the Chargers moving forward. The Raiders got to look back and fix everything.
I think John Gruden did a solid job last night, of course, dealing with the adversity of Mariota instead of his starter. Yeah. There were a couple play calls between using Aguilar and Darren Waller to get the guys open, whatever. That there were some good play calls, but I think Raiders defense ultimately let them down. I mean, you saw the Raiders beginning in the third quarter, or at the end of the third quarter, like 2 minutes left, they took a 10-minute drive or 11-minute drive. That was the longest in the NFL for several years. It was an impressive drive, ended in a touchdown. Chargers come back, get the ball, and score in 2 minutes. The Raiders defense, I mean, of course, the Raiders offense, like I said, didn't capitalize on 2 missed field goals, so that's on them. But the Raiders defense did ultimately let them down. So I guess, yes, it boils down to John Gruden. And, of course, he came out last night with a Oakland Raiders hat on, if you didn't see that.
Yeah, I did. It was kind of cool.
So that was obviously where the problem started with the Raiders coaching. So, yeah, Raiders just on both sides of the ball had troubles last night.
Yeah, both of these teams, even though it was a very good Thursday night football game, I think both these teams have solid foundations between Derek Carr, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs. The receiving core outside of Darren Waller could use some help. But then the Chargers, they have a good foundation with Herbert, Eckler, Keenan Allen, so on. Both these teams have good foundations moving forward. And I think if the Broncos could get better, this could be one of the best divisions in football in future years. I'm very excited to see it.
I agree because I don't know, the Raiders seem to be still missing something. Just obviously 3 years ago, they were one of the best teams in the AFC. So they're always right on the edge, and then the Chargers are going to be getting better. And then the Broncos, like he just said, if they were to get better, then you're looking at the AFC West, one of the best divisions in football. But again, my recap: Chargers look great, Raiders hung in there, but just didn't look good enough. Didn't look playoff bound. That like they're still fighting for.
Sounds good.
All right, 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Besky.
That was probably 7.